Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 2021 career mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. This is my second attempt at commentating this episode because the first time around I completely finished it and then my Adobe Premiere Pro decided it was not going to respond, and then, well, I had to close it out and it never saved. So we're on our second attempt here. Let's hope that this is the final attempt. It will be if you're hearing this at this point now, as we have one heck of a championship battle on our hands going into the penultimate race of this career mode, with Lando Norris tied with Sebastian Vettel at the top of the board and Max Verstappen 1 point below both of those drivers here, as we come into this race fresh off of two back-to-back very lucky race victories here from Belgium as well as Monza in the last episode. So lots of high hopes coming into my favorite circuit on the planet. I love driving here in Singapore so much here, as we were ready to get practice underway, and actually when it comes to practice never goes well for me in Singapore. I don't know what it is about this racetrack here in F1 2021, but the practice programs, I don't know, like the difficulty is just way too hard for the practice programs here in F1 2021, specifically at Singapore here. But nonetheless, we got practice underway and the car felt okay. It wasn't perfect, but we made some small adjustments here and there and got the car driving to where I was kind of happy with it. Coming off of those two back-to-back race victories, it actually keeps us mathematically still within the picture to win the World Drivers' Championship, which I didn't think I'd be saying with two GPs remaining, although the only way that we're going to find ourselves in it after today, though, is if we probably win this GP again, and then Verstappen, Lando Norris, Sebastian Vettel all have issues and finish outside the top 10. So it will be a miracle that we need for us to have a chance going into Brazil in the championship finale to actually have a shot here. Now, as we come through, though, into Q1, trying to put the best lap down that we can here. Bit of a rough start to the lap there. You can see me going a little bit wide there at the apex now as we come through the middle section part of the track here, and actually a big error right there. We go spinning and we crash into the guardrail and we lose a front wheel, and that's going to be our night over early here on Saturday now, as we are completely out of Q1. I think the second time in our Formula 1 career that we've actually retired out of qualifying because of a silly mistake there from myself. I just simply got on the throttle a little bit too much, a little bit too throttle happy, and well, we certainly just paid the price for that here, as we're going to be starting at the very back of the grid here. I think the other time that happened was in Monaco. Let's head to the grid.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit today, located in the heart of Singapore. The circuit consists of 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right. It's a track that's incredibly technical, so don't expect to see the drivers taking too much at full throttle. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn one?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn one as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Ricciardo, and Sebastian Vettel, Russell, Lundgaard, Pierre Gasly, and Latifi, Eilert, Joe, the Golden Boy, and Nobuharu Matsushita. Mick Schumacher, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
There you saw the grid. Now, as you do see, we do gain a couple of positions there due to some grid penalties. So up at a P17 for the start here of the Singapore GP. We're going to be starting here on the medium compound tire. You see a mix-up with Schumacher on the hards and Zhou Guanyu and Callum Ilott there on the soft compound tire. But what I was planning here was the same strategy that I've used in past GPs, is make this a one-stop race. So a lot of drivers are going to be doing a two-stop race here. The majority of the field will be doing a two-stop race, but I am going to aim for a one-stop race. So we're going to go from the medium to the hard compound tire, and hopefully that will carry us to a very respectable finishing result here in Singapore. Now, as it's going to be light zone, we are underway as Max Verstappen and Lando Norris lead the way down into turn 1. It's a great start for Max Verstappen, who's on cruise control into the corner, compared to Lando Norris, his Red Bull teammate, who's under attack from Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Leclerc won this very race all the way back into, I think, season 1 it was, and that's his only win so far of this F1 2021 career mode. But Ferrari comes into here looking like they've got some speed, to say the least. In the background, you can see the McLarens as Daniel Ricciardo, Sebastian Vettel, they're battling it out, and it's not a good starting position whatsoever for Sebastian Vettel. Going to have some work to do today. He will, as if he wants to continue the fight for his 5th World Championship, he needs to, of course, slice and dice through the field today, because it is so difficult to pass sometimes in Singapore, other than the front straightaway and as well as that long DRS straight, because it's just not that type of circuit where you can make easy overtakes. And that's why you see myself in an example of this GP right here, reverting to a one-stop strategy compared to the two-stop strategy. I know it's difficult to overtake here, so we have to come up with a different alternative idea if we're going to be able to get a respectable result here in this 31 lap race under the lights in Singapore. Such a beautiful circuit, such a beautiful scenery around the track as well here on this street circuit it is, of course, here in Singapore. But I just love watching this race. This was actually Singapore, the very first race I ever saw in Formula 1 here, and I remember it actually being a replay, I believe, of, I think it would have been the 2013 Singapore GP. It was either 2012 or 2013 Singapore GP. I saw the replay the morning after, actually, and I thought it was just one of the coolest things I ever saw. And here we are now, of course, racing here in the F1 2021 career mode here, as we were having trouble passing on this opening lap as well. I only gained a couple of spots, and now here we were on the back of Matsushita at the end of this first and opening lap, and we're going to go from P17 to only P16, but now up into P15 as we went down into turn 1. So we got some work to do, that's for sure, here now on this medium compound tire, and hopefully we can get to work quick though. And here we go up the inside now into turn 1 of Callum Ilott. So up into P14 we go. Next objective there is to pass that Alpine of George Russell there, and we were all over the rear gearbox of George Russell in just a matter of another half a lap or so here, as we were closing in on him very, very quickly here as we head down now towards this hairpin, trying to make sure I don't crash down towards this hairpin again like we did in qualifying. But I just had so much grip compared to George Russell there, who's on the hard compound tire. We're on the medium compound, so obviously we're going to have more grip than that hard compound tire, and we're going to go sweeping around the outside here of Russell. So up into now 13th place we go, and actually we were getting ready to see pit stops already kicking off here in the Singapore GP, and it's very early on in this GP right now, only lap 3, but by the time we came through approaching lap 6, our teammate Valtteri Bottas comes into the pits, and we were getting ready to see a bunch of drivers come in. Pierre Gasly as well on the soft compound tire is into his pit box here, so this would start the wave of everybody coming in, and we are going long term here, trying that one-stop strategy, and being on the mediums, of course, we can go quite a bit longer than the softs to begin with here now. So we were already up into 6th place now as we came through though to the conclusion of lap 7. You can see on the track map Lando Norris is still on the track on that medium compound tire. I think Lando Norris might be the only other driver on the grid, along with myself, attempting a one-stop strategy, which could be huge for his chances to win this race over Max Verstappen and, of course, be ahead in this championship battle here. As you see myself making a move up the inside of that Williams Porsche of Christian Lundgaard, and now we would move up into a runner-up position. Obviously, it's going to change here before this GP is over and after the pit cycle runs its course here. As you can also see on the track map, a big kind of just group of cars there in that DRS zone briefly, and it was actually a train of cars held up behind Nicholas Latifi here. As you can see, Verstappen runs me down on lap 11. Actually let him cruise by because there's so much speed, and actually a lockup there from Max Verstappen on that medium compound tire. So he's on a two-stop strategy versus his teammate Norris, who's on a one-stop strategy, and both myself and Norris would actually pit on the same lap here, lap 12. So now this is when I was convinced that Norris is doing a one-stop. So we're in for the hard compound tire, and no changes changes here, no wing changes. Thank goodness we didn't hit anything, fortunately for once now, as we are going to get rolling. A very solid pit stop actually from the team right there. 2.7 seconds. We're actually going to come out in that same group of cars that I was talking about on the track map here, so not necessarily where we want to be coming out here now. As you can see, Bottas and Stroll up there side by side in front of us, and Sebastian Vettel having a horrendous run. He's tied for the championship lead right now, but Norris is leading the race versus Vettel, who is 15th, passing me around the outside for 14th place. I just didn't have the confidence there in the cold tires to really get the power down. So Vettel gets ahead into 14th place. I mean, he needs to find something quick, because this is not a GP where he's going to keep himself in the championship fight with a performance like this here. Now as we come through to start the 15th lap, you can see some side by side up in front of us. Everybody trying to pass Nicholas Latifi, who's holding up everybody, and I'm actually going to go around the outside of Sebastian Vettel here, just like he did to me a corner ahead of this one in a lap or so, or a lap or two later, or earlier I should say, sorry. Now as we're also going to make a big lunge up the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi in the BMW. I saw him being held up by Latifi. I saw the golden opportunity there. We had to take it. So up into P12, and we're nearly into the points now here, and actually as we exit the final turn, swinging to the right hand side, we are going to be able to pass Nicholas Latifi, fellow Canadian, no problem. Up into P11 we go. The final round of pit stops were already kicking off here too as well here as we come through to lap 19. Daniel Ricciardo into the pits, so up into 8th place we were at this point. But when everything cycled out, the question was where would we be on the grid here now, and you can actually see already closing in on the top 5 as Charles Leclerc is in for the Ferrari as we come through to lap 21 for a quick mid or late race update, you could kind of call it now, as Norris continues to lead over Max Verstappen. Bottas currently up in 3rd, but actually here he comes at the end of lap 20. He's going to come into the pit lane and bring Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard, in with him, and we're going to take over the now 3rd position. Will we hold on to P3? That's the real question, because you got to watch out for guys like Charles Leclerc, who's on the move, very quick pace in that Ferrari right now and all night long actually, so he might actually be able to run us down before this race comes to a conclusion. No retirements from this GP so far, knock on wood. We've had our fair share over the last couple of episodes with the amount of chaos that we've had and whatnot, and just as well some mechanical issues for some drivers, but so far in this race, like I said, no issues for anybody yet. But will we make it to the end of this GP? We've had a couple of wild ones back to back. Maybe we finally kind of calm it down a little bit here in Singapore now as we come through to the final 10 laps underway here in Singapore, and you can see now on lap 23, here comes Charles Leclerc. He did run me down, and he did it at a very quick pace here now as he was about to make a pass on me and overtake us probably on the front straightaway, and here he goes with a huge run down this front straightaway on lap 24. He's going to swing to the left hand side. Not much of a point in fighting him, so I let him have the spot there in the Ferrari. Up into 3rd place goes Charles Leclerc, and down to 4th we go. And I was paying attention to the leaderboard, and I could see Daniel Ricciardo was very quickly running myself down in these closing laps. Lando Norris is going to make the one-stop strategy work, but Max Verstappen is closing in on him in the closing laps of this GP, so don't rule out a Verstappen maybe overtake here in the last couple of laps. But now 2.6 seconds between myself and Daniel Ricciardo. He continues to close the gap at a significant rate here, and it was just a matter of time until he was going to be all over the back of myself here, and that would happen with 3 laps to go in this GP. Down the DRS straightaway, actually clipped maybe the wall right there on the left side, but here goes Ricciardo once again. There's no point fighting that. I have absolutely no chance to fight against Ricciardo there on that medium compound tire, so we let him go for 4th place, but we're still in P5. What a rebound drive we have had here now as we came through to start the final lap of the Singapore GP. Norris on the one stop there on the hard compound tire, and Verstappen on the medium compound tire had finally run down Norris by the final lap of this GP, but he's only going to have this opportunity right here on the straightaway with the DRS to be able to pass Norris. If he can't get him right here, it's not going to happen here now. As you can see, Verstappen gaining is going to go to the right side. It's not going to work right there. Norris locks up, leaves the door open, but it's still not going to be enough. Max Verstappen stays put in behind in 2nd place. This is huge for the championship setup going into the Brazilian GP, but it would be Lando Norris holding on to come through to win in Singapore over Max Verstappen in 2nd place. Charles Leclerc is going to get a podium, and we are just bringing it home at this point for a 5th place result. You can see we actually got a 3-second time penalty in the last couple of laps just simply because I exceeded track limits. We started P17. We're going to have a heck of a rebound here, get 5th place in Singapore track. We've always had success on, and we continue that with a beautiful recovery drive here under the lights tonight in Singapore as well. We are going to actually get the winner of the driver of the day, not surprising by that drive right there. Let's head to the podium for our post-race celebrations.
That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak.
There you see the podium celebrations now with Lando Norris on top over Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. Great efforts from Verstappen as well as Leclerc, but an even better effort from Lando Norris, who gets to celebrate a race victory here in Singapore now, as that as well, of course, is going to put him the main favorite going into the championship finale in Brazil. It's been a heck of a season for Lando Norris, and he's looking for his second World Drivers' Championship. There, as you see the finishing results, Sebastian Vettel ended up getting up into the top 10 in P9, but he's going to need a miracle going into Brazil after a terrible Singapore GP for Sebastian Vettel, because we take a look at the standings. Norris leads by 8 points over Max Verstappen, but 23 points over Vettel. So if Sebastian Vettel wants to win the championship, he's going to pretty much have to win the race. He will have to win the race, and he's going to need Norris or Verstappen both to finish 10th place or worse if he's going to win. So it's basically a miracle kind of situation that Sebastian Vettel is going to need going into this next race. As you can see, Red Bull has locked up that constructor's title as well. But what a season it has been. What a career mode it has been. As what a beautiful sound crack that was. But what a career mode it has been. And it all comes down to one final episode here in the Brazilian GP. It's been a heck of a ride. Unfortunately, we never got that World Drivers' Championship a part of this F1 2021 career mode. Hopefully we can change that in F1 22, but we still have one more race to go, and I'm so excited for it, and see who comes out on top between Norris, Verstappen, or Vettel. Let me know who you think is going to come out on top of this championship battle between those three. Vettel needs a miracle. Verstappen and Norris, they can scrap it out, but Verstappen will need a little bit of help here, but it'll be a lot easier for him compared to Sebastian Vettel. That does it for me. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Hit that like button. That would be very much appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next one for the championship finale. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, everybody.